probably with Kepster's Tracer. Might just look for a full reset, though. I think they are going to Infrasight. And Stitch with the opening as well. That's so perfect. Really neuters the Infrasight. Now, you don't really want to get aggressive 5v6, even though you have those wall hacks on.
Yeah, I mean, that was a quick flick by Stitch, and exactly what the Justice needed to really have any chance of bringing back this round in full. Gladiators looking for the way in. They drop the early flux space on the way down. Tuba, though, the blade over and into the Gladiators, the other side of battle, and it's so much more effective. The Justice bring themselves back to the forefront and really potentially about one fight away from flipping the round in this round. And now the Gladiators move on forward. Stitch connects! Finds space! And Chaz, oh man. Early strikes from the Justice as Stitch finds his groove. You know, with Kevster getting the pulse bomb, normally that'd be huge, but it doesn't really matter now, Jake, does it?
Yeah, it's just too little too late here. That Ant Matrix headshot just one-tapping space before he's really able to get any value in the fight. And we've talked about that before, that killing the Sigma early is generally a lights-out play. Tuba got so much done on these blades. Way too quick here for the Gladiators. They played that way too fast, diving into the tank line when Kepster was still resetting his cooldown, still getting health back. So that's actually, I think, an error that is going to really cost them. That should have been a one mid-fight. They just play it slow. Yeah, this opening poke is so critical. It's a map that can go very quickly one way or the other. Gladiators, nice push through the house and a beautiful haul from OG, but he doesn't get the drone in time. I think he was just LOS by the window there, and it looks like Tuba's going to get some cleanup now.
That was a good halt in terms of the amount people had hit, but OG had to go a little bit too deep to land it, ends up getting isolated, and I think you're right, the Immortality Field might not have hit him. Well, Kepster falls, now there's a chance! Tuba up late a little bit later. The Gladiators couldn't secure their overwhelming advantage, and they give the Justice a chance back into it. Ultimates or no, you have to look at the Gladiators' attack here and just wonder what happened, because this is now looking far better for the Justice. Meanwhile, Tuba got Bird Ring off on the other side of battle. And the Justice, they're looking healthy, they're looking good. Bird Ring's out of the battle, the Blade no longer a threat. And Tuba laying in the damage, inordinate amount of value. Justice, though, they go in pretty aggressively. Early Immortality Field, Tuba with the Blade. Moving in, the Gladiators, still a little bit healthy. Only Bird Ring clung to it so far, but oh, they catch OG in the corner. That should be the fight the Justice were looking for.
Yeah, and that's really well done. Just Rally and Blade. You still got both tank ults and the Amplification Matrix, so ready to put out a ton of damage.
You're going to see the Flux. Stitch takes down Kevster early, and the Justice continue landing good early pokes. And think back to that team fight stat. The Gladiators, a lot less effective if they're the ones losing the first elimination.
Space is going to commit nonetheless with the Flux. Does pick up his enemy number in Janu, but no value gotten there. And Aim God destroys Big Goose. Stitch as well finds Bird Ring. This time it's just the Supercharger and the Amp Matrix, but once again, like, that Blade Rally combo is quite close. So if Stitch is Bob, it doesn't need to be a team fight winner. It just needs to be good enough to delay.
It's on the Blade.
Trying to stay alive, though. Bap chasing him down. Notice there's no more swings left in the Blade. And
Space so out of the fight, losing Sigma, real tough for keeping control. The front line for the Justice, still alive. Kevster is down. This is winnable for the Justice. They're far tankier. The Gladiators, they have to stay at the point, but it's so difficult with who they're missing. The Justice, they're wounded, they're not gone, and the Gladiators struggling to keep this going.
Yeah, OG is on the Hammond, but it's going to be pretty difficult to win with that hero. Justice, they still got the Break Bap and double shield, and Roar has a Supercharger, instantly going to deploy that one, and beautiful defense there.
Big Goose and Chaz down, the support line just destroyed for the Gladiators, and Kevster, if you're looking for the early Pulse Bomb, it's not going to be anywhere near early enough as the Justice simply roll over.
Yeah, I don't love that hold from the Gladiators. I've been seeing a lot of teams do that, keeping their Sigma on the high ground, going for those off-angle flanks. But Justice just walks straight through the hotel, and they're in the defender position right there, in that great spot that normally you see defenders playing to control the map there. So
there's a lot of tools against them, and the positioning very much a problem. Big Goose gets caught as they went over to the payload, and this is the Justice just flexing their positional advantage.
Yeah, going into the third point with almost 5 minutes on the time bank, you're even playing this Genji comp where you just wait for the next huge power spike. You're almost guaranteed to get this cap. I mean,
big game, but he gets poked down early. Not the ideal area to drop the blade. Now has the armor, now has the blade. OG down, Kevster fighting into a whole lot of support, not getting eliminations. Meanwhile, Tuba gets so much more on the other end. Kevster's blade a failure. Tuba's anything but. The Justice rolling in. That should be the map.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be here. OG on the Hammond, coming in for a desperation recontest. Not even sure he's going to be able to make it to point. He is, and that's coming in from behind there. Unexpected angle, but is going to die instantly. Flux on just space. He's going to get all the focus onto him as well. So just clean up here for the Justice. They are going to be evening up the series 1-1 unless Big Goose boops 6 players off the map, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, this would be one of the most ridiculous moments ever, but I don't think that's going to happen. Get a little bit more Hammond still there. It knocks down one, but no. The Justice. They take King's Row, and it's a pretty crushing take at that. A great defense, a quick offense, and the Gladiators, look, you read the room on the day, and it's been upsets left, right, and center. You got to be afraid at this point. As a result, the Gladiators have to reconsider how aggressively they want to go in. That cooldown out of the way. Stitch, a little bit of pressure. Kevster falls, picked off. Kevster down and the rest of the Justice still fully healthy. This is not great for the Gladiators. It's something you need to just get out of for now. Camp Tuba going up to the sky, being sneaky, waiting and waiting. When's the Blade going to come out? Now's the time. The Blade out, looking for it, slicing through. Stitch there in the fall through. And Tuba, enough of a distraction, gets space with the final swing. They're waiting, and Stitch finds Bird Ring off the top.
Yeah, that's just a beautiful pickoff. Exactly what they needed. Now Stitch is unchecked. Kevster still focusing on the tank line, as expected, really, but it means nobody's on Stitch. Free shooting in the back line and Ash. That's your dream scenario. Defenders hold once again, and the time bank is starting to look pretty grim. And
nearly getting poked out from the back, and guess what? Here comes Tuba. The Blade is there. The finish, absolutely fantastic. And the Justice, 35 seconds away from an incredible hold here on Temple Anubis. He's been a hero before. Big Goose is already down 6 on 5. Kevster, do you have it in you once more? The Flux coming out. Here comes Kevster, the Blade, ready to go. Half HP and a Dream. Oh, no! The Dream is nothing but a nightmare. But now it's down. The Justice returning fire, space out of the fight. Tuba and Janu starting to break it all open. And the Gladiators, they lose more players. They're not bringing this one back. The Justice about to go up 2-1 here in the series. And this is nuts.
Yeah, Shaz being nice and annoying there, but that's all he's going to be as an annoyance. What a complete rout on Temple of Anubis. We haven't seen Temple of Anubis point B. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining, but we haven't seen Temple of Anubis point B. It's definitely a surprise.
Front line for the Justice is playing out of their minds right now. They were down to DPS, and the supports and tanks just clowned on the Gladiators. That shouldn't have happened. All of that was just wrong, and now the Flux coming out from Janu takes down Big Goose and Kevster. Oh man, that is just not what needs to happen if you are a fan of the Gladiators. It shouldn't happen.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the DPS, I think, because they're naturally going to be the flashiest players in this composition. But that coordination between the other 4 members of your team, those tanks and supports that are generally going to stack up and try to get maximum value by grouping.
And now Tuba is ready to go. Janu, though, out of the fight. Tuba, the Blade, looking to equalize, takes down 2 thus far. And this time Tuba, much better engaged, courtesy of the Blade. And we got Janu with his Flux, and Tuba on the follow-through. Janu just got way more out of that Flux exchange, Jake. And, I kind of want to rewind it. What was the difference between Space's Flux and Janu just there?
Well, I think the critical difference maker was not only the fact that you have a Genji
still looking to make his impact known. Tuba, the Blade, deals the Immortality Field. No, Bird Ring can't get away. Tuba, though, might pay with his life. This is real dangerous. Deflect up. And no, can't quite get away, but it's scrappy enough that it's still not bad for the defense.
Yeah, it's okay for them. They do keep their core alive on sports and tanks. Oh, a pickup on Kevster. Ooh, Kevster going to be regretting that level of aggression. Yeah, and the Amp Matrix right here going to come out for Stitch most likely. If it's even needed, I mean, the kills just instantly came in off the Supercharger.
Yeah, and the Gladiators just kind of walked into it. It was great execution by the Justice, but in a way, it didn't even feel like they had to work hard for that one. Back it up with the Immortality Field. The Blade is out. We'll see what support is there. Tuba does not care about the opposition. Immortality Field ends up falling, though. Still, getting down the Brigida is a big pick. This is something the Justice can still win. Their tanks and support smothering onto the point.
Bird Ring.
Bird Ring has something to say. 2 eliminations for Bird Ring, but Bird Ring is not meaty enough to get on the payload. And Stitch, super low, still alive somehow. Tuba laying in damage on the front. Stitch gets a little bit of healing now, off on the peak. Both Immortality Fields out of the fray here. It's just a melee in the front, and Stitch able to get loose, finds Kevster. Tuba on the fall through 6 on 4 for the Justice as they just barrel on towards the upset.
And Tuba is just playing so fearlessly right now. The fact that there's no enemy flanker.
This is difficult for Space, where I think Space want to at least delay a little bit more on payload, but the problem is he's not delaying on payload. Instead, he's just going to be a long stagger here. He would love to get out. He can't get the limit on the Tuba. And suddenly the Justice looking at a 6v5 to seal the deal and send the Gladiators packing. Dominance from the Justice, the 6 on 5. They don't end up missing. And Space gets there, but it's too little, too late. The day of upsets is complete. And it's going to be the Washington Justice moving on. The Gladiators, they're done.
Who could have seen this coming, ZP? A ton of lower seeds. You know, these teams, they pick their opponents. They set themselves up gave themselves what they thought would be the best chance of victory. And so many of these Davids were able to defeat their Goliaths.
Arg, you've been selected by the ever so sweeping San Francisco Shock. How do you and your team feel about that?
I was hoping for not getting picked for first.
That's fair.
So was everyone.
I thought Super was gonna not pick us because he was talking like he's not gonna pick us before. So I was like, okay, if it's not first, it's solo. It's kind of sad, but we'll try our best.
Away, booped by the left click of the Brig, couldn't really do too much apart from get some damage down. Smurf ends up falling with the help of that supercharger laid out on the point by Raw, and Justice have finally found the point and the fight that they wanted. Arns lines up another kill. Hex has got 2 at this point with Janu falling, but the Justice are fighting back as they take control. Pass through the shield, but tank for tank as Choi also falls. 2 ticks on the board though now for the Shock, and Washington Justice still managed to defend. Not bad at all. And hey, Tuba, he's probably going to have Blade for the next fight as well. Oh, he's waiting for the deflect. Can he hit the headshot? Oh, he does, but he hits it on himself. Whoops-a-daisy. Tuba still has the Blade along with that supercharger going down, so now's the perfect time to pop it. He ends up getting dragged back down to the floor, but that's exactly where he wanted to be. Striker ends up going down, and now Choi is isolated. Finish off with the Dynamite and help with the Dragon Blade. And the Shock are going to be forced to go back here. Now the Shock pushing on to the last point. 2 minutes and 37 seconds remains. Tuba does find one, and it's going to be Violet, so a lack of healing now available for the Shock. And spawn advantage for the Justice as well. It's going to take a miracle for them to actually cap at this point, so it's just going to be a reset now for Shock. Sad to say if you're the Shock, yeah, there's not enough healing at all with only the Brig alive, and you know, Twilight goes down there as well, so good first push here for the Justice. They do manage to cap the first point.
And the Justice have become a little bit of a more patient team, and sometimes that's...
The rest of the team are saved with the Immortality Field. 2 with the Blade. They're going to combo with the Supercharger. Of course they are. There's the Holt as well, dragging everybody in. The Tuba gets sent down as well by the Shock, but it's instantly killed by Tuba. Reset after resets. Cuts him all to bits. And the Justice now moving on with a ton of ults also. The pack being thrown as well as those little right clicks from the back. Supercharger, I'm looking for that tick. I'm looking for it to go down. They do manage to kill Choi on the side, so actually now I just want to win out with a war of attrition through these shields. That's exactly what they're going to do. Tuba can play super aggro as well because he has that armor pack landing on him, and Stitch finds another one. So, in fact, just that single pick just result with them not needing to use that combo. Supercharger, there's the Blade. Ark's already dead, but it might not matter. Tuba needs to find people. He's got the Immortality Field as well on top of him. Oh my word, so many resources piled into Tuba to make sure he can succeed. A perfect right click to finish off Arns as well. A good time for the Justice now as they move on to this 3rd point. Jump on the Widowmaker and find 2. Both tanks are already falling. Small advantage for the Shock as well. They should just be able to hold at this point. How does Arns do it? Switch to Widowmaker for half a second. Insta-kills both tanks. Choi will fall though, and Twilight is going to match them. And Arns finds yet another kill. And now he's getting jumped on by both DPS. Tuba just eventually finishes him off. Bob's going to get sent out by Stitch. This is the last ditch attempt to actually get the point in with time available, but Ark's still sitting in the back line. There's one reset for Tuba. Can he find another one? No, he cannot. He gets taken out by Violet. The damage might have already been done, though. They are contesting the payload, and Stitch is left to do basically whatever he wants. A Dynamite on point is going to help finish off Arns. 10 seconds now remains for the Justice to net this point in. 9-8. They need to be able to clear off people, but it's too many on the point. They only need this OT. Smurf is eventually finished off, and there is the OT. Twilight launching himself at the front. Oh! What the? He's mistiming these by like 2 frames. Johnny's going to use that flux to relieve some of that pressure. Both Bobs have been launched onto the field too, and it's a battle of the ashes. Tuba still has the blade if he really needs it, but he shouldn't do at this point. He's able to clean up Choi. A little bit of time as well. There you go, there's 1 tick, and that should be the first point unlocked. It was a battle of the ashes as both Tuba and Rascal were having a little duel in the background.
Yeah, I mean, the Bobs went out for both teams, but Rascal with that super aggressive chase on the Tuba, you lose so much of your utility.
Trying to hold people into the window, that's exactly what's happened. Yeah, Twilight's going to go down. He had the rally up to him as well. Now Smurf trying to stem the bleeding once again. Blade's going to come through, instant Blizzard, you saw it. Tuba now has to get out of there rather fast.
And turns their attention to Bob, you just send the blade in.
Yeah, one ends up going down. Bob's going to get halted actually by Smurf. That was super sick.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Gets owned in the front line though. You saw him get blasted away, and now Tuba has the blade at the ready. But it takes out 2 though. Well, the Bob won't be in one of them, but it's still good enough. The flux up in the air onto Tuba. Immortality Field's going to save them for the time being, but Choi's ult actually gets interrupted, and Tuba kills 3 people in the small room on the side, and Washington Justice now flooding onto the point. 2 ticks have been gained. 1 more to go. The Shock are going to come back on the Wrecking Ball to stall for some additional time. Are killing off Rascal, one of the most annoying people to actually get off the point in the Tracer, as they do manage to complete round number 1. Oh, we got hit up by the wall. Immortality Field, he has to get through that as well. He's going to dash straight in. Janu finds 2 already though. Oh, Tuba's damage was only aided by Janu just spamming left click in that small corridor. That was a really nice setup too by the Justice. You saw him say, "Come at me, Justice, as I have the Blizzard." He goes to the flank in the end. Oh, he gets stunned out of it though. Janu lands the perfect rock. Destroys Rascal's snowball. Both literally and figuratively, the actual snowball and the snowball onto the second point. Another Shock lose. Not only that ult, they use the Bob in that fight as well. Regardless of how many people are dead, Shock still think this is winnable. Ark and Stitch end up coming back and claim kills of their own, and Tuba eventually finishes off Choi. They used so much in that fight because they thought it was winnable, but at the end of it all, it was definitely not. Stitch don't do it. Oh, blade in the air. Tuba finds 1, gets the reset as well. This might just be the hold right here for the Justice. Yeah, Tuba's found a 3rd kill off the back of that Flux and the blade. Hunters does find Aim God, but hey, he's not going to get to the point. Not as a Widowmaker, that is for sure. Grow Shock that we're thinking about. Rascal's in the back line. Stitch is on fire, and he manages to kill Janu somehow. The Twilight does end up trading out. Tuba can now go for these big resets, hopefully making himself present in the back line of the Shock. But Twilight's keeping himself alive somehow. He's going to make sure his tanks are alive and well for this next push. Arns kills off Stitch, but Tuba killing Rascal is a good start. Down, Tuba's 24 HP. If he gets this kill, this could be absolutely massive, but the reflections are coming through, but Twilight just threw another pack and Violet just in time. That could be the 1 pick that they needed. Raw also falls. Aim God trying to make something work. Rascal is so low too, but it's not going to work. The Shock end up holding on first. Justice had 1 minute in their time bank. They couldn't quite get there. And Shock close out the series 3-0 and make it all the way to the semi-finals.